What is happening, guys? Cowboy here, and we are back. And this is where the real Dark Souls 3 begins. So, before we get too deep into Irithyll, I did discover a few things. Basically, talking to Yul of Londor, I found out the trigger to get 5 levels from him. Every time you die twice, you can then go to him and get him to draw your true strength up to 5 times. So, obviously, because we hadn't really been dying in this walkthrough at all, that would explain why I was unable to do that. So keep that in mind if you are going for that ending of the game. I mean, if it's your first time going through the game, it might not have been an issue to begin with. Also, there was a quest along with the Onion Knight, I found out. To continue that, what you had to do, he was in a well right outside of the chapel bonfire. To show you the bonfire I'm talking about, if you go right here to the cleansing chapel, that well outside, and he's stuck in there, you have to get his armor. To do that, though, Patches has to be around, and for Patches to show up, as far as I know, you need to have already collected the Firekeeper Soul, which requires you to buy the key that is 20,000 souls and access the tower. So, the side quests like that are completely optional, but for those that were curious, and the last thing I want to mention is a lot of people have been asking about the Armor of Thorns. That is simply lying in Rosaria's bedchamber. You can just pick it up there. So with that being said, we're going to continue on. As you can see, I am able to use my Fugs. I got my strength up to 40, and it turns out I can now two-hand it. That being said, can't really use anything else, so I took my helm off so I could actually have on a weapon for parrying. And we are ready to continue on. So, put on Iron Flesh to give me a bit more stability. Now, with this part, as soon as you cross the bridge, there's going to be this giant thing that's just going to spawn. It's going to go nice and slow, and there it is. Literally spawns completely out of thin air. And this thing is kind of frightening. I don't think they have an actual name. Everyone just calls them the crocodile wolves. And we now have the Pontus Left Eye. So, really good example of just how ridiculously powerful the Fugs is. For the ring that we just picked up, really good for speedy style dex builds. Basically, as long as we continue to attack, our attack damage will end up slowly buffing up by small increments. As far as I know, I think it also does stack with the sorcery. So after that, we're going to head on down. We got the Homeward Bone over here on the left side. Now, supposedly, you can actually do a little mini quest here with the chick from Darkmoon that we saw a few times over at Firelink Shrine. What we're going to do, we have to go through this illusion. You're going to need the small doll to cross over that. We're going to rest at the bonfire, and then we're going to check that bridge again. And from what I've heard, that's, I guess, the trigger to get her to spawn. I haven't seen that in my other playthroughs, but when it comes to the side quests, if you will, in Dark Souls in general, they're always rather convoluted and kind of hidden. So I'm just going to check for this sign real fast. I don't see it. I might need to be embered. I'll pop an ember just in case that is one of the requirements. I am seeing no sign. Supposedly there's a little quest you can do with her by grabbing her sign here. I think it might have already been too late because I did join the Rosaria's Fingers Covenant, and then obviously after accepting that covenant, and you see her back at Firelink Shrine, she says the next time we meet, we will be enemies. So that may be why the sign is not appearing. Either way, I would not pass up on that covenant just for one little side quest, but she does give you the silver cat ring, so it might be something to consider. If it's similar to before, you can use that ring to avoid fall damage. Well, not avoid, but reduce it quite significantly. So a few items we're going to pick up here. We have some Rime Blue Moss, Wary Wearier Soul, Large Soul, and Nameless. Snatch up all that. There it is. Alright, so the enemies here can be pretty difficult. In a sense, they're like mini Boreal dancers. They can be very aggressive. They can also cast hexes, and their combos are kind of frightening when they start to actually go. So you can see them all right there. We're going to try and pull just one. Turn over to me, that works. We're going to wait for her to approach, probably charge up a heavy attack. I'm pretty sure I can stagger her instantly. or just kill her outright. Oh my god, Fugs, why are you so ridiculously good? I go over here to grab another soul. Now, right up these stairs right here, there's going to be another one of those mini dancers. So, that one's already too far. We're going to... There we go, now she's casting Nexus. As you can see, there are no fucks given by the Fugs. Grab the large Titanite, and we'll take this one down. I like how even with blocking, it's just like, nah, just stop. Oh, she's not in range. Stop that. Why are you just barely out of my range? Come closer. So one thing I want to mention before we go too much farther, obviously I do have the small other shield on, and that's just for enemies that I'll need to parry. But an important thing to mention with the Fugs is because of how heavy it is at a weight of 25.5, it's kind of hard to run this and a shield and high armor. But one thing you may notice, looking at the guard absorption's actually pretty high on this. 80 physical, 55 magic, 65 fire, 60 lightning, 65 dark, and a stability at 55. So looking at that compared to some of our other shields, you know, it's relatively on par with even some of the medium shields that have really good defenses. So my point here is while you're two-handing it, if you need to hit R1 and use it as a shield, don't be afraid to. It does work as an excellent shield. So we're going to head on up here. Now this area, there's a couple, I'll just call these witches. I'm not sure what they're actually called, but we're going to grab some items here. We got a bloody green blossom, a large soul. Now there's going to be waves we're going to go through. You can see this guy over here. We're going to call him the Fire Knight. I'm not sure what they're actually called. Fire Cleric may be more appropriate. When he slams it down, it'll make fire come up underneath you. He also has kind of a fire spray attack he'll do. But we want to get the witches, and we're going to kite the witches over first. We're going to take out the witches, and then take on the Fire Knight. And then there's another wave of witches that we're going to take down as well. This is just to separate the enemies, make things a little bit easier for us. Oh god, this sword is ridiculous. I was so excited to actually start this episode just because I wanted to see what it was actually capable of running through. He also has an attack where he can basically stab you with it and throw you quite far, so do be aware of that. That being said, he has very poor stagger resistance. As you can see, took him down without much difficulty. So there's another Fire Knight right up there, which is why we're going to kite this second group of witches back. Stuck in camera lock, and I'm getting hit. Oh no. Unacceptable. Oh god. Kite those witches back as planned. Get a little health topper there. Line up, ladies. Bugs confirmed 2 OP. We'll see if it still has the same level of ridiculousness as the boss. So we got another rhyme, Blue Snow Rhyme, right here. Now we're going to go take on Fire Knight Numero 2. Just make that flame jump over me. Large Titanite, I believe. Yes, large Titanite. Alright, now we have 2 more of those dancers that we fought from before. They're patrolling. If you don't want to fight them at the same time, what I would suggest doing, get their attention. One to come around the corner. Ooh, the Pontiff Knight Curved Sword is such a really cool weapon. We're going to showcase that in just a moment, just because it is one of the coolest weapons I found. Managed to get that to drop on my Dex playthrough as well. I think it's a really, really neat weapon. So from here, there's some stuff we're going to do over here. Actually, we'll get the Crystal Lizard first, since he's right here. Wow. 1 hit to kill a Crystal Lizard. And if you're low on Estus, at this point there's a bonfire we can get to. So I'm going to show you guys how to sprint to that real fast before we continue this area. We'll grab this since it's right along the way. Just go right up this staircase. And we're we're going to come back out here and accomplish a few other things. I gotta say, Fugs is making this area look like a joke, which kind of understates it. It's not really this easy, typically. So we're not going to rest. We don't want to spawn stuff. Henri is right here. Just make sure you talk to her or him twice to get a gesture. And there's a hidden NPC right here, and I haven't been able to figure him out. Oh, shit. Did I kill you accidentally?
Oh, my. For a pilgrim, this breath praise.
Glorious death indeed. Praise thee, praise thee. Oddly enough, on the Let's Play, I had different dialogue. Something about waiting for the last drop of darkness. So I'm not sure what exactly the condition for that pilgrim is, but you know, I'm sure there's some hidden meaning behind it that we're going to want to figure out eventually. But that's one of those things that I'll just leave up to the community to discover. So let's see. Large nameless. There's a large titanite that I passed. The way to the bonfire. I wrote down large nameless, large titanite, then bonfire. I think it's one of these. That might be it right there. There we go. Alright, now we're going to go get a very good offensive miracle, as well as open up a shortcut. So from here, strike this railing. Look at that. How's that for an illusion? An entire staircase appears. Grab the large titanite. Real fast, just to show you that sword that she was using. It's such a cool weapon. I don't know if I have the requirement to pull off the weapon art, but... well, usually it does that kind of energy blade you saw come out for her sword. That's what it actually does. Really, really neat ability. Circle around, make sure I didn't miss anything. Yes, okay. Got the dancer. Oh, wait. Large titanite. Did I pick up that as well? Titanite to the right, dancer to the left. And down here we have Doris, the mother of fatties. Walk on up, give Doris a good old backstab. You're not cleansing shit. And Doris is gnawing. Now this is actually quite a powerful miracle we just picked up. In testing with it, there's a regular gnawing that you can get, and it only requires, I think it's 10 faith, and in comparison to this one, given these were with unupgraded catalysts, the regular one I was doing like 60, 70 damage on the PC character, whereas this one I was hitting upwards of 300. And that was without any upgrades into the catalyst. So I have a feeling this could actually be quite potent moving into the later stages of the game. Witch Tree Branch, of course, a great sorcery catalyst. And open the gate. Here, this will take us right back to our bonfire. That gate actually eluded me for so long on the Let's Play. It's kind of infuriating. I just could not figure out how to reach it. It's pissing me off so much. So hop over to the Church of Yorshka. We have a couple other things we're going to wrap up in this area before we make it to a new bonfire. And then we have a split where we can either head to Aldrich, Saint of the Deep, or to Yorm the Giant. So while we're here, one other thing I want to point out, we're going to be going that way shortly. There's a staircase up here. We can't access anything yet. We're going to be dropping down this series of catwalks later. But for now, just ignore that. We can go up here and pick up Concord Kept, which is the item used to level up the Dark Moon Covenant. Take a right. Should be a large soul right there. Soul. There's a fire knight below us. We'll take him down momentarily. Now this is going to be the shortcut to the boss that you see right here. We're unlocking that a little bit later. Not quite yet though. We'll take down this guy for now. Not fighting back, sir. Soul of a weary warrior. He did not drop anything for me, sadly. Down the staircase, another soul. Okay, so now we're going to go into the mid structure here. Oh, man. I was expecting them to patrol farther, so we're going to actually kite them back a little bit. Because it's 3 enemies. If you can ever separate enemies, it's always worth doing. Oh, there's the grab attack. Check this thing out. Look at that throw. Kind of impressive, right? Oh, man, she's doing the multi-hit. See, this is actually a good example of exactly why I said you want to separate your enemies. Even in cases where you can typically instantly kill them, such as with the thugs, trying to fight more than one at a time could end quite poorly for you. Your guard is not strong enough to stop the thugs. Sorry, darling. Man, lining on up for the easy kill. Right, so for those playing Faith builds, Lightning Gem. Even though we got the Lightning Gem, of course, you don't have the coal yet, so you can't actually use it. Right here, fairly obvious illusionary wall. Strike that. The magic clutch ring. Drop on down. Gonna run out this way. Snatch up the large titanite shard. Right. Let me see a home bone. Okay. We're good. At this point, we can go to the other path. So since we are almost at 20 minutes, we're going to wrap this one up shortly. From here, we're going to be going down in the next episode. We'll be going down that path and making it to the Distant Manor bonfire. But one other thing I want to do while we are here is show you guys something that I ended up missing. That's quite important, I think, especially for people playing casters. So we're going to go to the Crucifixion Woods bonfire. And I actually ended up accidentally finding this area during one of the drunk throughs while I was intoxicated and panic rolling all over the place. I ended up falling down a hole that I had not seen. So there's a hole on the way to the Crystal Sage, and it actually connects to a little area that's down below. I'm not sure how I missed this, because I had been through this area with 3 characters at this point, and the third one was the one that found it. Well, technically I'd already gone through with 3 characters, and I found it on the drunk through, which would have been the 4th. But we can pick up the Sorcerer set, and more importantly, the Sage's Ring down here, which if you're playing as a caster, it's quite important. It's going to increase your casting speed, which is going to help dramatically on those late game spells that take a lot to cast. So we're just going to run down here into the water. This little opening right here. Sorcerer gear, as well as the Sage Ring. At this point, we'll just run back to our bonfire, head on back, and level up. So while we're kind of in like I like to take these periods as kind of like a brief intermission, if you will. Just some things to remind you guys of. As you're going through the game at this point, make sure that you are periodically going through and talking to all the NPCs at Firelink. Just as you play through the game, going back and talking to people, sometimes it'll net you items, sometimes it'll net you new gestures, so always stuff to keep in mind. On top of that, you know, updates in the quests will happen. For example, the one enemy that we talked to that told us how to get the red eye orb, his quest might have been updated. First, he gives you cracked red eye orbs, and then after some progression, when you talk to him, he tells you about how to get the red eye orb. And I mentioned that in a previous episode. We've already gone and done that, of course. Little more than killing a single Dark Wraith. So I didn't really feel that was all that important to capture. But we're going to hop back and we'll do a quick run through here, see who has changed, who is here. It looks like things are rather quiet at Firelink, surprisingly. Even Hawkwood isn't here.
Aha, you found a proper red-eye. Brilliant. I knew you were no ordinary man. Now,
gesture.
invade and pillage, and if you grow weary, come on, give yourself to
I don't think I had a chance to show the boss weapons that we would have picked up with the most recent boss. I did go through the Demon King. Did I not go through? Maybe I didn't. Maybe I'm just imagining.
Now. Ah, so. Ah, fine kin and all slain. Oh, now.
Pyromancy, Kalena, reward him well. We can pick up one of those. We'll give it to the Pyromancer, get some spells. No ashes to give to her. No coals to give to the blacksmith. Him the...
I'm afraid I
Can't use that one. Oh, that's one's for witches. You take the Irithyll one?
Now.
There we go. That one we can get. Some cool new stuff here. I'm probably going to end up doing Karthus Flame Arc eventually, but for now at least, just because of the stats that I have, I'm better off just using resins if I want to buff my weapon. And on top of that, resins are actually most effective with faster weapons just because it's usually a flat damage bonus added onto it. So with something that's swinging super slow like this, we're not going to really see that benefit. I have enough? No, I need 8 twinkling to be nice. That is quite a hefty amount. But it does not matter because Fugs is back. So either way, we're going to wrap up here. In the next episode, we'll be continuing on from the bonfire and making our way through the second half of the Boreal Valley. So